You know how we do. Rockefeller. Forever. Catch me skating through your town, putting it down. Y'all relating, no waiting. I'll make your block infrared hot. I'm like Satan. Y'all feel a nigga struggle. Y'all think a nigga luddle. Hustle behind the wheel, trying to escape my trouble. Can't stop the greeting me. I'm talking sweet the keys, cursing the very God that brought this.
What's really good? Y'all appreciate y'all tuning in to the podcast. Y'all see the title? I'm just now recovering from COVID, and my thoughts have led me to desensitized. Is the world we live in desensitized? Is people not sensitive to nothing no more? Like, we live in a world where people are just hardened by everything. And I wanted to talk about some topics about things that has people hardened and situations where a person spoke to another individual that may have hurt them or made them hardened, and now they're desensitized. They're not sensitive no more. And do we live in that type of world? Like, get in the comment section, help me out, and help me further the discussion. Are we living in a desensitized world? And before I go any further, you know me and them definitions. I'm gonna pull up the definition of desensitized, and I'm gonna talk to y'all about it. We're gonna break it down. So, desensitized, make less sensitive, make someone less likely to feel shocked or distressed at scenes of cruelty, violence, or sufferance by overexposing them to the images. Is that what the news trying to do to us? Like, every time you look at the news, they have 5 murders popped up. 5 murders. The news is useless unless you want to be miserable and be unsensitive. We ain't sensitive to nothing no more. Somebody died, the next day we just move forward. They just dead. Nobody cares our feelings about anything no more. It's normal. Children it's normal. They ain't gonna miss their auntie or their uncle if they pass away, because so many people are passing and so many people are dying that it's just normal. And when I think about, like, I had contracted COVID, and I was thinking in my head, like, don't nobody give a shit. Ain't nobody gonna bring me a bowl of soup. They could care less. You have to care about yourself. You have to protect yourself. You have to be sensitive towards yourself. There's nothing wrong with being sensitive, man. Or is there something wrong with it? I don't think anything's wrong with it. But I was looking at one of the things that I'm gonna pull up about desensitized is something that I was looking at. T-Pain was talking about something that had him stressed out, and he was breaking down. He wasn't healthy. His mind wasn't right. He said Usher said something to him on a first class flight one time. And I'm gonna pull it up and we're gonna look at it together. And this is what Usher said to T-Pain, and this is how T-Pain felt about it. Let's listen to it.
I heard a story about you and Usher on an airplane.
We was actually going to the 2013 BET Awards, and we were all in first class. And I went to sleep. I was awakened by the flight attendant. She said, "Usher would like to talk to you in the back." So I got up and went back, and it was like, how's everything going? Quick small talk, no big deal. And he was like, "Man, I want to tell you something, man." I was like, what's good? I thought he was about to tell me something real. He sounded real concerned. He was like, "Man, you kind of fucked up music." I didn't understand. Usher was my friend. He was like, "Nah, man, you really fucked up music for real singers." Literally at that point, I couldn't listen. Is he right? Did I fuck this up? Did I fuck up music? And that is the very moment And I don't even think I realized this for a long time. That's the very moment that started like a 4-year depression for me.
Got something to
That's crazy. He said it started depression for him immediately after he said that. Who is Usher to tell T-Pain that he fucked up music because you ain't profiting off of it no more? Like, it was people doing that before T-Pain. It was Zapp and Roger. It was a whole bunch of different people that was using auto-tune. And then while T-Pain stressed out about him doing auto-tune, the youngsters and other people in Future come in the game and they run with it and they elevate it even more. And now he's just a memory. And Usher said that to him being desensitized. He wasn't sensitive to T-Pain's feelings, and he probably didn't even know that until just last week after T-Pain spoke about it. He probably didn't even know that. So it's crazy, like the things you say to people, the energy that you attract, the negativity that you spew, and how it can have an effect on the other individual, and how negativity is being promoted to control other individuals, to control this world, to control profitability, showing murders and negative stuff everywhere we go. And then you just inherit that energy and you just become a part of it, and all of it becomes one. So, man, try your best to stay away from that type of foolishness, man. But another thing, I've been watching basketball that made me use the word desensitized, or we desensitized. Paul George, he named himself playoffs P. He wasn't playing that well. But at the end of the day, Paul George has been a good baller. He's been a good baller. He been hooping. He just ain't been doing what people probably expected from him. Like, you know what I'm saying? They probably expected more from Paul George, and he wasn't giving them what they expected. So people was bashing him, like media people. I know they get paid for that. They get paid to talk bad about other individuals, but Paul George has been hooping this playoffs. He had 5 30-point games in a row. Do we owe Paul George an apology? Do we owe him an apology? Because he been balling. He ain't been playing garbage at all. Paul George been hooping. So at the end of the day, is it affecting this man? They don't know how it's affecting him. And I know in the bubble, he was saying that his mental health was affecting him last year and he couldn't play well because he was in that bubble. He was confined and he didn't feel good about himself. Now he out the bubble, he balling. He ain't had too many bad years. He's a perennial all-star. He's a hooper. Paul George is a hooper. And I'm going to go ahead and say I apologize because I spoke one time out of character talking about Paul George. And Paul George is a baller, man. It's just the world that we live in. We desensitized to a lot of things, and we'll talk negative about stuff that really shouldn't be spoken about, like in a negative light. We'll talk bad about greatness. Like, it's people that hate LeBron James for no reason. They can't even appreciate what he's doing on the basketball court, the greatness, because they just don't like him personally. And then something that my father told me that stick with me to this day. He said, "How can you dislike somebody you don't know? That's lame as hell. You don't know this person personally, but you dislike them for no reason. People be around here looking at TV stars and people they never met and dislike them for no reason. They don't even know them at all. That's weird. Like, what is the real discussion about being desensitized?" So, okay, so I work in a warehouse. I work in a factory myself. And I was listening to this guy speak that works at Amazon and his experience. And I was thinking about, wow, people are desensitized for profit. They could care less about the human experience. They just want the profit. And the human being got to do his job like a robot so he can continue to pay the bills. And if he don't pay the bills, we'll replace him with another robot. So this is what the young man had to say. And if you are young and you're listening to this podcast, I want you to listen to this closely so you won't end up in these positions at these jobs and continue to go to school so you won't have to work at these facilities who look at you as a robot.
I'm a relatively young guy. When I started working at Amazon, that is something that has helped me. I was 20 when I started working at Amazon, and I'm 24 now. But even being young and in shape, I still had to make sure I would take care of myself. When I was working 3 12-hour shifts, by the end of the week, my body would be just worn down and wore out. When I started working there in the first month, I lost like 10 pounds. And I had to start eating before work, during my first break, second break, third break, and after work to keep my current weight. I guess from all of the energy I was expending from doing that task for so long. And there have been times where I've like felt the strain, I felt the stress, my knees would hurt, or my legs would hurt, or my back would hurt. After having a promotion and some of the wage changes Amazon has made, I now make $23 an hour. I have not always made that money. So it helps taking some of the stress I used to have off, being able to pay bills more easily and not just being paycheck to paycheck. So I work in the robotics department. It's a big Roomba looking thing. They're like 300-pound Roombas. The robots will carry things to you. It allows people to work faster. So those robots are dangerous. Everything that they carry can weigh 800 pounds, 1,000 pounds. So if one were to hit you, it would be like getting hit with a car. My job is to make sure people don't get hurt and people know how to like do basic troubleshooting with them. At Amazon, we have a fun metric called TOT. Every single piece of work you do, every individual task, there's always a scan. You're scanning an item that's being sold, you're scanning a package that you just made, you're scanning an inventory location, there's always scans. The computer system knows every single scan you've made. It knows when you make your first scan of the day, so when you begin working. It knows when you make your last scan before you go on break. Leadership may say your break time is from your last scan when you leave to your first scan when you come back. If the scanning stops, if you don't have an excuse that is a good enough excuse, I had to go pray, I had to go to the bathroom, I went to take my break. If you don't have an excuse like that, you start to.
You got to have an excuse to quit being productive because at the end of the day, production jobs are like slavery jobs because you're getting paid to massive produce. You get paid a certain amount of money. You get paid more the more you produce. And a lot of individuals who haven't never been in that world don't know what production jobs are and how important production jobs are because they've never been in that world. And to me, that's what runs the world. That's more important than you sitting down, you typing and computing, because those jobs can be replaced. Production will never be replaced because people are going to continuously eat. That's why it's a shortage in food and stuff. The chicken wing prices going up. Y'all seen Rick Ross with the Thigh Stop? He got the new company out called Thigh Stop, and y'all see the lumber prices are going up because of inflation, and things are being inflated because during COVID, people realized that they didn't want to work doing production no more. So they have less people. So that means less production. And that means prices are going to go up. And by prices going up, people are eventually going to go back to work. But we living in a world that if you don't produce that product, then you can't get it or you can't afford it. And it's only afforded to the people who have the finances to be able to purchase it. So with that being said, man, that's just like crazy to me that you can't have. Like, we live in America. America is a not communist. Let me stop that. I know what it is. It's capitalist. It's a capitalist country, and you either is or you ain't. Like this situation. What was y'all thoughts? Switching topics. What was y'all thoughts on the Derek Chauvin being sentenced to 22 and a half years? Y'all know he only got to do 2/3 of 22 and a half years. So Derek Chauvin is going to be doing 15 years for the killing of George Floyd. 15 years. If I was to put my neck on somebody, put my knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes and it be filmed and I be helped by my constituents, we would get the electric chair for that brutal murder. And not saying that justice wasn't served, because the Floyd family took a $27 million settlement. And I'm just shocked that the jurors found him guilty and he doing time, period. Because this is the first time we've seen that, like, people doing time for killing another officer, killing a black individual. But it's just, we live in a desensitized world. Why do I want more? Why do I want him to be punished more? Who am I to want him to be punished more? Am I used to seeing things and I want revenge for something that really doesn't even have anything to do with me? Wow. Hey, but at the end of the day, here is the conviction. Here is the sentencing of Derek Chauvin.
And so, Mr. Chauvin, as to count one, based on the verdict of the jury finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony under Minnesota Statute 609.19 subdivision 2 paren 1, it is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute section 609.04, counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses of count 1. As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You're granted credit for 199 days already served. Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Provide a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender as required by law. And then you will receive a copy of the order and also the attached memorandum explaining the court's analysis. Anything further from the state?
If this needs to be said, we just ask that it be executed forthwith.
Defendant is remanded to the custody of the sheriff to be transported.
The reason I created this podcast is because after experiencing the coronavirus, I wanted to tell people to be sensitive towards others, to be appreciative towards everything in your presence, and be aware. Be aware when you're consistently doing things that don't benefit you, consistently doing things that ain't healthy for you, consistently watching television, and right when they come on, they talk about multiple people dying. That ain't the only way you can get that information. We live in the information world now, social media and all of that. You can go directly to it instead of turning on, giving them ratings to keep promoting negativity to you. Keep watching commercials that's making you hungry for the foods that's not doing you no justice or doing your body no justice. When you watch commercials, they selling Budweisers, Doritos, KFC. They ain't gonna have no lettuce wraps up there or nothing healthy, or no, they ain't gonna be promoting spring alkaline water. That water clear too, boy. You see that? That's wet. And like, they ain't gonna be promoting healthy stuff. They ain't gonna be promoting stuff that's beneficial for you. And like Lamborghinis and Ferraris, they're gonna promote Chevys, the hoopties and stuff. It's just, we live in a world where it's heavily promoted, the negative things, and then we get caught up into those things and let it take advantage of us. Peace, love, plenty of abundance. Go and get you some money. I'm out. Yeah.
You know how we do. Rockefeller. Forever. catch me skating through your town, putting it down. Y'all relating, no waiting, I'll make your block infrared hot. I'm like Satan. Y'all feel a nigga struggle, y'all think a nigga luddle, hustle behind the wheel, trying to